Welcome back to another episode of the Student of the Game podcast. I am your host, Kyle Spain, and I am blessed again to be here with a previous special guest. We didn't get a chance to finish off our last episode. He was dropping knowledge, dropping gems, so we had to run it back for a part two. Welcome back, my man, 12-year vet, still hooping overseas and doing what he does, doing what he loves, and building his businesses along the way. Welcome back, my man, Kelvin Martin. What is going on, my brother?
Well, thank you for having me again, Kyle. I'm doing well.
Well,
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day again to jump on this podcast and to encourage this movement and help the generation or the world of athletes that are out there that are experiencing life in a different realm, helping them find some direction, get some of that experience that you've got going on, brother. So
It's
I
a part of our
appreciate you
purpose.
being on here.
It's a part of our purpose.
Yes. Yes. So there was a lot that we talked about last episode. I wanted to go back to there was a part in the episode you were talking about computer science and how you kind of wanted to get into that, but somebody kind of like steered you away from doing that. And the reason I wanted to go back to that is because I wanted to talk about the importance of getting what you figuring out life outside of basketball while you're utilizing that platform to propel yourself forward. So let's go back and talk about that computer science. What made you want to get into continue computer science? I know you said you kind of circled back and you're kind of getting into that kind of stuff right now. I want to kind of touch base on that and then talk about the importance of being able to figure some other things out while you're still utilizing basketball as a platform to, again, springboard your success in other areas to kind of just help you branch out.
Yeah, just to touch base back on it, like it just Kyle, like ever since I was growing up, I always been big on computers and technology, and always been interested in it. So when I got to go to college and was interested in studying it, they was just telling me like, you might be a little too busy for it. And I'm like, I just took their word for it. Just not really having the mentors or the guidance to be like, truthfully, you could do anything you want to do. And if this is something that you're interested in, I think you should pursue it because at the end of the day, after you get done playing basketball, you need to find something that you're going to be passionate about. And I think in that situation of me just making a decision like, it's okay. I think that kind of when I think back of it, I should have actually just did it. No matter if it was something that was going to take my time, I was passionate about it. So after I get done playing basketball, at least I have something that I know that I was really, really interested in. And I didn't really think too much on it. Even going to college, I started off with a business major that didn't work out, and then eventually meeting with my counselor, they was telling me what you like, and I ended up graduating with a bachelor's in sociology, which I was very interested in sociology and psychology. I'm very interested into those fields, but it's a not a difficult, but it's not as glorified as other fields in the world. I think
Yeah.
now, especially with kids are going through with the mental health and all that, I think it definitely serves its purpose of understanding things. But back to technology, just we're in the digital world. I always knew that. I pay attention to a lot of different things. When I got into stocks, I listened to the stocks that are just very interesting. You can kind of just see what is moving the needle and what is kind of holding the economy together. And right now it's tech. Um,
Yeah.
with that being said, like I said, I always have a passion for just buying different things and learning different things about technology. So I think that's just been something that I just been passionate about. I think in this new age, I work with kids a lot. For the first time, day to day, I work with kids, and I work at a middle school. And at this middle school, they have iPads since like elementary, some schools anyway, especially where I'm working at.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see that, coming up and they are learning through technology. They're learning through
Yeah.
Canva. They're learning through these different applications using technology. So that's kind of what it is. But also, what got me excited about it is just because there's ways that we can learn how to protect, and it's I love to help people, and I think there's ways that we can help one another as far as technology goes. So that's where I'm just kind of more so interested in it, and just learning and just how AI is. And also just I feel like I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm fascinated with creating, and I'm fascinated with the ideal of how we got all these different applications, all these different platforms, because they're just easy to just do and just easy to click, log in, and just do it. But I'm more so of a creator. So I'm like, how is it possible for me to create this without having to pay for a service that someone easily just did it themselves? But that just kind of
Yeah.
goes to the point of, do you have the patience to learn something new and do something that may be out of the norm? Because for me, I think this is something that we can teach our youth, as far as you don't have to depend on these different social media platforms or these website things it's going to create, or AI, you can create from scratch. I think the most important thing that when I did get into, when I got back into it, technology and computer science, was I just started back from the beginning, and I actually took like a course, it was like a free course that Harvard kind of offers, about computer science. And the professor is really, really known, and he's really, really great at what he does. And it was very interesting how he did it. But just studying the back, it all thinks about, everything comes from zeros and ones. When you think about that, everything that we are in that's technology wise is zeros and ones. So when you go back and you watch the matrix and you see all this, the green and it's coming down, it's
Yeah.
zeros and ones, because that's
Yeah.
how everything started. It's either going to be a zero and a one, and that forms a code to actually present what we see. And then obviously it goes to, JavaScript, and then it goes to different other things that can actually create the graphics that we see or the videos that we're getting. But all that
That's
stimulates from
wild.
zeros and ones. And then also it
Okay.
got me inside about quantum computing, which, it is the ideal of them both existing at the same time, zero and one. So it's just a fascinating thing, bro. It's just something interesting to me that I find interesting. I think when I was playing basketball, I was so consumed with basketball, trying to be the greatest ever. That's just the goal for all of us, and to be the best we can be in the field that we're doing. So I think I just lost focus of that, and then as the basketball started slowing down, I had to start thinking about, what's next. It took me 3 years. It was a cycle for me. Every year I was
Yeah.
going to play, going overseas, and coming back. Like, I don't know. That cycle took some time to really just break. And I think right now, like I said, this is a part of our purpose to really reach out to the youth and reach out and like explore different things. Even like for me, volunteering coaching at a high school, like I really want to tap in with kids to understand that, you could be a content creator, because I think this is easy to see, but there's other fields and other things that you can do that you don't know unless you are exposed to it. So I try to do my
Yeah.
best, especially the middle schoolers, to expose them to different things and different activities to understand like what they like or what they don't like, because a lot of times I wasn't exposed to that myself. I had to just go out there and do it myself.
Man, you kind of just tackled every point that I was trying to uh, express and get out there. I love what you're doing. I love where your mindset is at. The importance of being in your creative space, threading the needle, and you going back to helping out with the youth. Man, I think that's extremely important. As long as it took hoopers like yourself and myself, even for me, it took me a long time to figure out this path, right? It's not a good feeling to be in, and part of this process is helping players transition, out of basketball into something that they're loving, into other things that they're interested in. And it's about having that guidance, right? And being able to think about these type of things at an earlier age. They're able to utilize basketball as that springboard to, open up other doors and opportunities, in other spaces as far as business and whatever else that they're into, man. So I definitely appreciate that response. and talk to me about the importance of creating, because I know for me, um, not everyone has found that thing that they're interested in. But how does being in your creative space make you feel as a person? I'm just going to let you respond. So I know that for me, being in my creative space, it serves like as if like I'm being productive. I feel like I'm being useful with my life when I'm in my creative space. Tell me about the importance of creation and how it makes you feel uh, about being in your creative space.
It's necessary. We come, whatever you believe in, you have to believe that you come from a source that creates. So within us, we are meant to create, whether that's procreating or creating just our ideals. And a lot of our ideals are stimulated through the universe and whatever
Yeah,
you consider that to be. For me, that could be God. That's God. And a lot of the things that we are sitting down and we're thinking about, and it just kind of happens. Like, dang, like it's an ideal. Now you're probably like very interested in it or passionate about it, and you have a choice to make. The choice is you're either going to pursue this ideal or you're going to let it pass over. And a lot of
yeah,
times those ideas are passed over because you don't really
yeah,
pursue it, procrastinate it, and someone else does the same exact thing that you was thinking. And that's just how it works. So being in a creative space, that means you gotta take advantage. You can't, and also you can't be discouraged because even if an idea comes to you and someone else has that same ideal, you gotta understand that you are you. That's what makes
yeah.
you rare.
Different.
So
Exactly. Yeah,
I think that's where you have to stick to your unique abilities of yourself because no one's going to do what you do. So you have a different network than everybody else, regardless if it's big or small. And I think that is the one thing that you have to think when it comes to creating and just being in your creative space that you are you and you are different and you are unique and you are rare and you have to understand that the world needs what you can bring. And whatever that is, you have to find that out. And sometimes that can come into ups and downs. A lot of times, I know
yeah,
for me, I'm jumping the source. I'm jumping from back and forth to this idea to this because my mind is just constantly going. So it took time for me to really just be like, hey, and shout out to the people that's around me that's like, hey, you just need to hyper focus on real hard. You know what I'm saying? I know that it may seem like it's going slow because of what it is, but what it stands for and what it brings, it's almost like
yeah,
I want something to be like almost like a stamp. Like when you see the logo, or regardless of
yeah,
where it's at, what it's coming with, which is coming with, you know, authentic and it's coming with integrity and it's coming with accountability. That's just a few things of values of things that like when you see like okay, I know that this is legit because the person that's behind that logo or the people that's behind this logo, they know what they're doing. So that
yeah,
kind of puts me in that space a lot of times, and that's how it has to be. A lot of times you don't know how when it comes down to when you create something that you're very passionate about, how much time you have to put into it and then where it can lead you and
yeah,
how it goes from up and down and you have to understand. For me, it's just been a process of learning, a lot of learning. I'm not going to say I lost. I'm just going to say a lot of learning because it's just a lot of information I didn't know that some things I just learned like last year about certain things. And I'm just like, oh, wow, like I didn't know that. But I've been doing this since I started. It hasn't been called real hard all the time, but I've been doing this since I became a pro. So to
yeah,
understand how businesses operated and how to construct it and how to be in the creative space to constantly, consistently create. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you got to put it out to the world, to social media, because that can be overwhelming and that can play with your mental. Because if you're sitting here looking for validation from people that you
yeah,
don't, and it's not going to help you. I think what you got to do is you got to put out what you got to put out because you feel like this is what the world needs. And can that be? Can that be emotionally a toll? Yeah, it can be because a lot of times you're putting yourself out there. You're putting your art out to the world, and that can be a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And for the people that are watching this, what I got from that is, staying in your lane. I love that you mentioned that. Everyone is their unique being, and we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people's pathways, other people's road or journey to success or whatever it is, and we have no idea what they're going through, no idea what their path was like, what their history is like, and we often compare ourselves with their level 10 with our level 1. And I love that you brought that up because we are unique. We hold a different frequency. We express things differently. People are going to gravitate towards us differently from other people that are within that same niche. And so I think that I believe that's important. In addition to the process, right? You mentioned the ups and downs, and that's everything that we're going to do. I think even for myself, I caught myself with trying to figure out a platform for my academy, and you run into some hiccups, you run into some walls and some barriers, and that's just part for the course, man. And that's the aspect of trying to pursue, not trying but pursuing the things that you love, understanding that that's going to happen. You got to learn how to pivot. So that's important because a lot of people, they're going to give up when things aren't seeming like they're creating results, when things underneath the surface, underneath the soil, that things have to start formulating. It takes a while for that seed to open up, or it takes a while for that plant to um, go against the resistance and sprout through the soil. So I love that you said that, because it's not easy, even with what I'm doing at the very foundation of all this. Of course, I want 1,000 followers. Of course, I want people to be able to, tap into this, and and share their consensus. Not that I need validation, but for it to be at a level that I want it to be. But obviously, that patience, right? You talked about patience and how important that is. And I think that belief, not that I think, but I know that belief in what you're doing is important, because, like you said, you have a why, having an important why, having an outcome, a vision of what you want Rare Heart to be, is keeping you moving. You have a bigger picture in mind, and that's also important in what you're trying to accomplish as far as your passions. How are you trying to impact people? So I absolutely love that, man. I wanted to go back and talk to you because I know that you're one of the players that I know that had a strong mindset. So I wanted to touch base back on the importance of mindset, and what kind of mindset do these players have to be, for one, to make it, to get a scholarship, and for two, to make it professionally. What kind of mindset do these players need to have going into this basketball world?
I think it. I think I seen a post. I forgot who was talking. It's crazy. I just seen it too, and it was talking about everybody. I was. It's easy to say you got to be a dog, but being a dog is the way he explained it too is correct. I wish I can remember who said it, but being a dog is like that's not something that can be taught. That's not
Yeah,
something that is so much common right now. And there's no disrespect to nobody. It's just the times are different. I'm watching basketball at a high school level now, and it's just like it's different.
yeah,
It's different. It's almost it put like I said, it's a different perspective for me to see it now because I was always in it, so I'm not thinking
yeah,
about it from what I know. So now I'm like on the outside, sitting as a fan or sitting as someone that loves the game and it's being played at a different way, at a different
yeah,
passion, for a different commitment. Whereas
yeah,
now I'm saying back then we had to play for because we got to make this. This is all we got, and we got to
yeah,
make it now with going to school and proving ourselves to be able to go overseas, which I didn't know nothing about overseas until I was about a senior in college. That you can play professionally that way.
yeah,
Now it's well, I can get an NIL deal, and the high
yeah,
school is nice.
yeah.
if not even high school, at least in college where you can get paid, you get some money. Whereas as far as when we was playing, we had to learn how to. For my situation, I struggled. I struggled a lot in college. Like I didn't have a lot. So, but luckily I had the people around me to really just kind of help me get through. And
Yeah.
that teaches you something. When you don't have what you can get, and you don't have the money that's coming in from the university, you don't have this type of deal that teaches you something that you gotta commit to something that you're not even getting the type of funds that you think you really just playing for education that you don't know if it's gonna pay off or not. But you
Right.
just got to education, which that's you're grateful for. So the mindset is different. If you really want to play basketball, you really got to understand this from an IQ standpoint because now the game needs to be played with the mind. I think the game has just changed when you see the NBA. It's not no one or two guys that can go score the basketball and everybody kind of feels. Everybody got to be able to make a play.
Yeah.
Now, it
Yeah.
depends would you have the ball or not, and that can change. But everybody got to be able to make a play. Everybody needs to be able
Yeah.
to play defense. Don't get me wrong. At the higher level, the NBA is not seen so much, but we don't see how all this transpires when the NBA Europe and all this comes into play and all that. Like it's interesting. It's almost like it's a time of basketball that I don't think I'd be too fond to play in.
Mm.
That's that's how I see it. And I could be
Mm.
wrong, right? But as far as the money goes, shout out to them. But as far as like the play and how you're gonna play, it's gonna be you're gonna have to be held to a account for everything, even in college. From the time you get there, it's gonna be, hey, like if you don't want to do this, I can pay such and such the same amount you getting and get you out of here. It's overseas
That's
basketball, but
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, and I didn't even think about it in that perspective. It's become more of a business now, more than anything for these universities, and it's always been about business for the universities. The NIL deals just made it legal to do it, and but it's impacting the other side of things, right? So the players. So how do you think that is impacting the mindsets of these players? Because the way that I see it, does it lower their ability to commit themselves to the game? Does it increase? Obviously, everyone's going to be different, but how does this affect the mentality of players now that the NIL deals are out?
you got to approach it in a business standpoint. That's the only way you can. Um, it's not so much of nah, I'm committing to this. This is my life. This is what I play for. Ball is life. That phrase is out the window now. Ball is not not so much as life. Ball is a business.
Is a
Is a
business now.
business where
Mm,
it changes your which on the up it helps kids grow into having a business mindset of how to carry themselves and how to present themselves where you can't, you know, there's certain things you can't post, there's certain things you have to carry yourself. It's almost like, you gotta be mindful of being watched. Every time they tell you that, people are watching you all the time, which is true. But in this situation, people are watching you so much that
yeah,
you gotta carry yourself a different way. You gotta have a business mindset of going about it. Also in the same sense of that kind of takes away the toughness out of it because now
yeah,
it it's I don't want to play because I'm a little hurt, so I'm gonna just sit out.
yeah, yeah,
I ain't gonna play
yeah,
this game. You know what I mean? Whereas
yeah,
back in the day, I gotta play. I gotta do what I gotta do. I think for me personally, I see things that way, and sometimes I see other players taking a different route. There's no right or wrong. After I got done towards the end of my career, I'm just like I wanted things would have been different if I just would have took that route instead of playing through an injury in a situation of you got two guys on the team. Both of them are hurt, probably similar injuries, where both of them can play, but one decides I'm hurt, I'm not gonna play, and the other one side, man, this is why I play hurt. Like this is my passion. This is just a dog mentality. I'm gonna go get it done. But
yeah,
then at the end of the season, who's rewarded? Probably the guy that just decided to stay
yeah,
out for his health. because he thought about his health
Yeah.
more. And then the other person who decided to play, now he got a little lingering tink that he got to fix over the summer, and that may result to his performance going down instead of him the performance staying either the same at the same level or higher. So that is something that you have to think about. That's why I said it's a business standpoint. Like you got to think about this as a
Yeah.
business now. It's not so much of like I'm going out here to play my heart out because that's just what I do. Because you ain't getting no
Yeah.
money anyway. So what's the
Right.
point?
Right. Dang, that's heavy. That definitely changes up the game, man. It definitely changes the dynamic and the approach, and it can go both ways. That person that plays hurt. It may affect them down the line, like you said. Now you got an injury that you have to work on in the summer, but maybe that game that you played hurt opens up an opportunity. Maybe you have a breakout game. Maybe there's a scout in the stands that it's like, okay, well now because I played hurt, because I mean, it depends on the injury, right? Too, on how hurt you actually are as well, right? And if you're milking it, I think that that's a little bit different from like, all right, well, this is an injury that can potentially get worse if you play. So there's definitely some variables that need to be accounted for when going into this. And obviously, I have no experience of that because we didn't have NIL deals, but that's definitely perspective and some things to think about, bro. Absolutely. Um, so, man, if you could, knowing what you know now, the things that you've been through, if you could go back, and do it all over again, what would you do different?
From what?
I
From
would
what? From
say just
college, high
starting
school,
college. Let's say college.
college. If I can do things differently, I would actually chose the major that I wanted to do. If I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do something that I feel like I'm going to have very interest in after I'm done playing basketball. And I would stay involved with that throughout my career of basketball. I wouldn't just do it and just be like, okay. Not saying I wasn't like that with sociology because I read and studied all through the years of me um playing. As far as on the court aspect, I enjoyed my college experience because of who I played with, my teammates. Shout out to them. But I feel like the my growth as a player, as far as I think players have to look at who is coaching them, meaning that
Mm,
are they gonna grow you as a player to get you to where you want to go? Where they're gonna sit you down and be like, hey, what you want and where you want to be with this basketball thing, and set a plan for you to be successful and have that, or are the coaches just trying to do whatever they can do to be successful? So there has to be a sense of balance because both parties are in this. So
yeah.
there has to be a sense of a balance in the sense where you can grow as a player and you can effectively help the team win. And it just really has to be a checks and balances thing. You have to really understand where you're going into. So every school has to be vital in that situation. And just knowing, I remember I didn't really know too much about HBCUs. Like I just thought like it was a black college, but I didn't really know that much about it. So I didn't know the history. Ivy League schools, like even having an offer from an Ivy League school and not really thinking about the network aspect of it, or just going to certain universities because of the network or because of their stature of the university
Mm,
and who knows that who goes there, who's the alumni, like all that matters. Like you don't really know that when you just going there by yourself. So that part of it, I feel like my work ethic was there. The knowledge of the game was there. I was always a student of the game, so that part was cool. Professionally, it's hard to say because every time you're a professional, you gotta understand you don't know nothing, so you're depending on an agent
right.
to really show you what the ropes is, and now your whole career is put on this person. And I think me personally, I would actually, you know, understand that even though you have an agent, you still have to take control of your career. You have to understand it's the same as the coaches and you, the agent and you have to have that type of understanding where, hey, this is where I'm trying to go. This is how I'm trying to, this is what I want to try to do. How can you help me get there? What is the best route of it? And somebody that you know that's going to hold you accountable in a sense. And it's not their job to
Yeah.
baby you, but it's at the same time, you don't want an agent just to put you somewhere, just to put you somewhere, just to play. You want an agent to put you somewhere so you can grow as a basketball player, to be able to make the most of the opportunity. As far as that, I do think like for me personally, I might just be throwing out free game. I do think that as you become a professional, even in college, I think you should have some type of understanding of like finances. I think you should have some type of financial literacy class, courses that you take throughout your whole college career to understand how this works when it comes down to business, when it comes down to managing money, applying for money, credit, uh, grants, loans, like every just all aspects from stocks to brokerage accounts to from all the aspects, life insurance, everything that the whole grand scheme of things, like because
Yeah.
I didn't know none of it until probably like 6, 7 years into my career, like
Yeah.
where I got kind of introduced to it. But it's like you're being introduced to it in a sense of like, well, I can handle all of this, and I'll let you. You can focus on your career, and that's great.
Mm.
Sometimes you want to be hands on with everything because you got to focus on basketball, but you need to have some type of understanding how this works and how it operates. So that's why I think the classes and the courses are very important to have
Absolutely.
because in that aspect, then you understand how this money is working and what you can do and how you can leverage it and how you can grow not only you as a person, you as a basketball player, but you as a brand, you as a business owner, entrepreneur, and that's one of the things I think, like just as far as that, how I would go about it.
Man, no, man, you're hitting every target here, bro. From, figuring out what you need to do while you're playing, figuring out how you're going to transition, finding out what you're going to love, but being acclimated with financial literacy. So when you start making that money, you're making that money work for you. Same thing with me. I didn't have this information. That's part of why I started this movement. We've already talked a little bit about financial literacy and how important that is. Having that understanding of the game, that part of the game, so you can make, conscious decisions with if you have a financial advisor, uh, making conscious decisions with them and not allowing them to make all the decisions for you, because then, like, who are you blaming if things go left, right? And it's only because you didn't have that knowledge, right? And you said that you were introduced to it, and a lot of us aren't don't have the luxury of being introduced to it. So you saying that, man, is going to be important for, all athletes, especially with the ones that are going into college, that are getting these NIL deals, that are that young, and they're not too young to start learning, right? So the heavy pieces of information, bro. Definitely appreciate that. Go ahead.
I just want to add, like, it's crazy. You say, I was introduced to it, but I was introduced to this in a strange situation because just to give you just a little, it's not funny, but it's just a strange situation because I was overseas. In my contract, I wasn't supposed to have a roommate. I wasn't supposed to have a roommate. I was staying with myself, and shout out to Jason Boone, great guy, really great guy. I ended up playing with him in Germany. His contract was up or something like this. He didn't have a place to stay, and instead of like the coach just like asking me like, hey, can Jason stay with you like this, that? I'm like, I literally walked into the gym one day, and they was like, yeah, you got a roommate. I'm like, what are you talking about? Not a roommate.
Right? Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, Jason gonna be staying with you. When this came about, like, and it got to the point where I had a conversation with my agent about it, and I was just like, because I'm very observant on how people do things, especially in
Yeah.
this business. You have to be. And I remember telling my agent, I said, I'm in a lose lose situation, and it's not about having a roommate because I dealt with roommates before my career.
Yeah.
Just But it's just at that point in my career, I didn't think I had to go back to that.
Right.
It was a
Right.
temporary thing, maybe like a month or two. I don't really remember. But in this situation, I told my agent, I said, "Look, I'm gonna have to do it because if I don't do it, the type of coach he's gonna be, he's gonna make me. It's gonna cost me something if I don't do it."
Mm. Mm.
And I end up doing it. And just because of, and it was a blessing in disguise because, we end up connecting. He ended up putting me onto a lot of different things. When you get you actually living with somebody, you get to see
Yeah.
their day. And he
Yeah.
was older than me at that time. He's still older than me, but at the time, I was still coming up. He had been a vet, and so he was putting me on. And just because of who I was and how we was connecting, he ended up introducing me. But that also goes back to treating people with respect and kindness and love, and because you never know who
Absolutely.
you're gonna come across and who you're gonna meet that can help you in the long run. Shout out to Jay.
Absolutely. Hey, and I want to piggyback that as far as being in situations and perceiving situations as an opportunity versus some things that we always feel victim or fall victim to, like, why is this happening to me? Being able to pull the positives out of every situation, and because of your character, it allowed you to receive a reward on that other side, and to maybe to prevent some backlash on the flip side of that too, man. So that's dope, bro. um Last couple of questions, man. um Strongest, biggest piece of advice for someone that's trying to get a scholarship, and then biggest piece of advice you would give someone that's trying to go professional.
Someone that's trying to get a scholarship. Scholarships now are like they always been earned, but now you're truly competing with the world now. Because I seen a kid from Virginia Tech who's from Greece. Boy, it's nice.
Mm. So you
And
mean the
then
world by as far as other overseas players that are
yeah,
that
yeah,
are fundamentally sound? Yes.
yeah. And I'm gonna double back on why I mentioned that type of situation. And then another, I think it might be Illinois. I don't know, but it's another Division 1 team that has like at least like they got a whole starting five from Europeans.
Mm.
I say all that to say to get a scholarship, you have to work on your skills. You have to really work on your skills and know how to play the game. You
That
can't just be out
IQ.
here just playing pickup basketball and thinking that you know the game because you out here, you killed and you had 25, 20, whatever. You killed the whole pickup game. Understanding how to play the game, understanding how to play a role, understand how to make other people better, just having a deep knowledge of the game as well as having a high level of skills. It's cool to have a step back, behind the back snatch, pump fake spin off the glass, finish.
Yeah.
It's cool, bro. Like it's dope. Don't get me wrong. It's fire. People love to see it. It's gonna get you the clip. It's gonna
Yeah.
get you the clip. But if you don't know how to create for someone else by doing simple things that you should learn when you first started playing basketball, it should be you mastering your craft. Once you master the basics of it, then expand out. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's necessary to have a little step back. I get this. The step back is kind of getting to like the basic basketball in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the pump fakes, like the pass fake, all these simple things that you kind of got kids look over, and it's just like 2 feet finishes, finishing strong, like being able to have this in your game. I just want to see that. I just think so because that can translate to the court. Those things can translate. You being able to do behind the back, side step. Okay, cool. You being able to pull from 36, 40 feet three is great. You need the range. But are you just a shooter? Can you put the ball on the floor? Like, can you actually create for someone else? Can you play defense? Can you
Yeah.
rebound?
The whole
Like,
package.
do you know how to be in the passing lane on defense? It's not just offensively, it's defensively. And I think this translates to even being a pro. So all that kind of goes into one thing, like how bad do you want this? Because at the end of the day, you're playing against the world. You're not playing against, every now and then it was one or two. In my college, I had a foreign, a European, I think from Lithuania that played on my team. It was just
I
one.
had one too from France. Yeah.
Had one or two. Everybody had like one, but now
Yeah.
if they're going to pay, you gotta understand. There's a lot of professional teams overseas. This kind of goes back to the professional standpoint of it. There's a lot of professional teams overseas, and there's a lot of guys that play, and it's like every country at least has two leagues, at least two leagues that can import Americans, at least
Yeah.
two. Let's just bring it out there, and we talking about every country. So if you think about the world, if you look at a world map and you think about basketball, especially if you look at Europe itself, and then now you got Asia in the picture, that's a lot of people. And now it's like, okay, we
Yeah.
got NIL deals. So I can get such and such from Australia and pay, because I know he's working on his game every day, skill wise. Every
Yeah.
day. Europeans working on it every day to the teeth. I know he's doing that. He can shoot the ball because all he do is shoot the ball every day. Where now you here and all you want to do go out, you want to do this. It's cool to have fun, but get the work done. So how
Yeah.
bad do you? Because you're gonna have, because
Man.
you're fighting against everybody else, against the world. That's how I was for me when I was growing up. I was in a small city, so I looked at it as I got to compete. I'm from Georgia, so I had to compete with the guys in Atlanta. And then it wasn't until 10th grade and I played AAU that I really realized this. And this is just me being naive from a small town because I just didn't have the exposure. Even though I traveled a lot when I was young, but once I started playing basketball, it wasn't until I was in 10th grade where I played AAU and I started seeing like, oh, there's people from other states that's really, really good. Oh wow. I gotta get better. I gotta get better because I just went to this tournament in Orlando and we played, we was in nationals and they got all these different guys. Well, I just went to Atlanta in Georgia and they just had, we had a whole state there. And there's guys up north that's doing way more, that has way more resources. So you got to
Yeah,
out
bro.
compete
Yeah.
and it's just out there, bro. Like, so how bad do you want it? If you want this, then you're gonna have to put the work in. Because if you not, you're gonna fall behind. And now people are
Man.
fighting for that NIL deal. Like it ain't so much like just getting a scholarship. Getting a scholarship is just one thing. But we're talking about guys that want to go. I want to go to the school that's gonna pay me 10 racks, but that's just one
Yeah.
thing. Then it's schools like I want to go to the school that are gonna pay me 300,000. That's another thing. So you're competing
Yeah.
on the scale of where you can't even look at it like, oh, I want to go to D1 because D1 comes with something. It comes with a cost too.
Yeah.
So now you got to look like maybe I go to D2. It's a different time of basketball. Wherever you
Yeah.
playing at and what level you playing at, it really don't matter because you can get found if you're good. You good.
Yeah.
But it just
Absolutely.
goes to the levels of the pay. Like how much is you gonna be getting paid in college or not? That's just simple. But
So
knowing that you get
that's
paid, my bad. I'm just saying knowing that you get
no, you're
paid,
good.
knowing that when you getting paid and you getting paid a high dollar or whatever, even if it's just 10 racks, know that comes with a responsibility. And that can be taken away from you because now it's a different ball game.
Man. Man, you spitting fire today, bro. Cause that's heavy. That's heavy perspective because it changes the approach of where you want to go, where you want to play. You're putting money on the line. Now you have a responsibility, like you said. What is our goal, right? Are we trying to get to the league? Are we trying to play professionally, or are we just trying to get an NIL deal and call it quits? Like, what school am I trying to go to now? Like that those variables definitely impact the decision, and it's important because I remember in the last episode you talked about the coaching staff and you start talking about the alumni and who's there and how they're going to treat you, like the school and the environment and how all that plays a factor. And putting money, chasing that money, for me, I've experienced chasing the money has always ended up a negative result for me versus taking an opportunity and utilizing that opportunity to make more money than I think that I would have had if I would have done it the otherwise. I had an opportunity to play. in Pro A at 1 year in France, and I decided to take the money, not knowing that the opportunity probably would have made me more money. Had I just went to Pro A and played in Pro A, I ended up tearing the labrum in my shoulder that year, and that kind of just messed everything up. And that was just one example, but absolutely. So that definitely changes, the approach and all the variables that go into it, bro. So, man, that was fire, man. Last thing, man. So anything that any piece of advice or anything that you want to leave, with the hoopers that they need to know, anything that you want to share, in addition to what you just mentioned, that can help somebody on their journey of basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Know that your journey is your journey, and don't look at anybody else's situation and compare or say that you feel like you should be there. No, that's just your journey is your journey. What you put in, and a lot of times I understand that too, because what you put in, not a lot of times you don't really get out. But know that what you put in is worth your time and worth their journey. Because if you're looking at someone else's situation and thinking that you're supposed to be there, or you chasing that, you don't know internally what they have to go through or what they have to deal with on a day to day. And then all of a sudden you get into that situation and you didn't expect that. So just, just focus on you, focus on your journey and your path, and stay to it. Stay true to it. Don't try to do nothing different that's not you, or get involved in something that you know is not you, because once you do, that's going to be a reflection of you.
Yeah. Most definitely, bro. Awesome fire advice, bro. We'll give it up for my man Kelvin Martin, founder of the Rare Heart Foundation. Man, he is doing big things with his movement, trying to help not just athletes but everyone else in the world share love, peace, encouragement, togetherness, and connectiveness, man, because we all need it. Mindset is the foundation of all of what we're doing, and utilizing basketball as a springboard to open up other doors and branches to other things that are of interest in you is important. Staying in your lane and finding your process and understanding that this process is going to have ups and downs is a part of life. I appreciate you, brother, for taking the time out of your day again, linking up with me and sharing your knowledge, dropping gems, and giving that type of advice that is going to be very impactful for these kids coming up, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Much love, my brother. Much love.
Yeah. Check out my man Kelvin Martin. Check out his Rare Heart Foundation. I'll put up his information. Thank you for watching. Tune in to the next one.